In this video, I'm going to cover everything that you need to know about AI agents in 2025. Now, to be as transparent as possible, there is a shift that's happening right now, one that most people don't fully understand yet. And it's that AI agents are no longer just tools, they are quite literally fully functioning employees if used correctly. So, if you've been paying attention, you've probably heard of terms like autonomous agents or multi agent systems, but what does it all really mean? What are these agents doing that's so different from basic automation? And there's a reason why every day you're hearing more and more and more about this new technology. And what I'm about to cover isn't surface level theory. As a company, we've built AI agents for 7 and even 8-figure companies. And in this video, I wanted to break down everything that you need to know about AI agents in 2025. So I just wanted to cover some things like how AI agents actually work, at a technical level, but I'll try to explain it very simply for you. How businesses are using them to drive revenue, reduce costs, and create leverage, and where this is all headed. So you could think of multi-agent systems, maybe even agents controlling agents, and agents even building new agents. And lastly, I'll go over how you can get started today. Now, whether you want to sell AI agents and automations as solutions or just implement them internally to unlock growth. So I'll later reference a pretty simple framework to actually identify which parts of your business are pretty ripe for implementing agents and automations. So this will just help you reverse engineer which tasks can be handed off to AI agents, thus saving you time and money. This will be the most in-depth, no-fluff guide on AI agents you'll find. But really quick, I wanted to mention that if you're looking to implement custom AI solutions into your company to increase your bottom line, then check out the link below to apply to work with us. And if you're looking to just learn how to implement these agents and automations into your business yourself and fast track your learnings, then check out our community link down below in the description. Now, to understand how AI agents actually work, I'm going to break them down into 6 different components. And I'll preface that these components, they're not just going to be arbitrary. They're actually going to be foundational pillars that enable these agents to operate autonomously and adapt in real time and impact business performances. So each part's going to play a pretty unique role in transforming static systems into dynamic AI powered agents and workflows. So here's the modern sophisticated framework for how these agents pretty much operate. First one is going to be the core intelligence, and I refer to this as the decision-making brain of the entire agent. So what this is, core intelligence, as I mentioned, it's going to be the brain, and this is going to process information and interpret user inputs and predict different outcomes and choose the optimal action based on logic and reasoning and prior context. So this layer, it's going to be responsible for converting raw input like a customer request into actually actionable decisions. So to break that down a little bit further on how it works, so unlike rigid automation particular workflows, some linear automations, those follow step-by-step instructions, to put it plainly. And the core intelligence, this has flexibility and adaptability. So as I mentioned a little bit, it's going to use decision logic. It's also going to use prediction models and reasoning algorithms to map user inputs to agent actions. So this decision-making process it's typically powered by large language models like GPT or Claude. So this is going to analyze ambiguous and human-like input to determine the best course of action from here on out. Now, you'll all probably understand a little bit better if I use some real-world examples. So let's imagine that a sales agent is tasked with booking a meeting with a potential lead. So the core intelligence, it identifies the request, like booking a meeting, for instance, and contextually just determines if this lead is new or existing. So it might review past communication histories and just cross-reference the CRM and identify an available time slot on the calendar. So based on all this, it's going to schedule a meeting, send confirmation emails, and update the CRM, all without any human input, whatever. How this can work in N8N. Now, I'm going to be referencing N8N a lot. There's a lot of different ways to build agents. You can code and build something on like Pydantic, or you can build it on make.com even, Brew AI. There's a lot of different ways, but as a company, the most common backend system that we use in particular is N8N, and this is super user-friendly. You don't have to know how to code. There's even options to code if you want to implement something like that. But But yeah, I'm just going to reference N8N a lot and how it actually works within there because it's visually easier for me to lay it out like that. And I think you guys will have an easier time understanding it that way, considering most of my videos are tutorials on N8N. So to put this into N8N, this process is going to be achieved by using GPT-powered decision nodes. So, or even logic-based nodes. So in that instance, so for example, to break that down, if a user sends an ambiguous request like, "Can you set a call for next week?" Maybe the core intelligent agent, it's actually going to have to decide what next week is meaning. So it could be Monday or Friday, and what does set a call entail? So using contextually aware logic combined with LLMs, this is going to give a natural language understanding. So the core intelligence, it's going to interpret and reason and choose a course of action from there. So ultimately, the core intelligence, it's kind of what separates the AI agents from traditional automation. So while automation, it follows predefined rules, the core intelligence part, it's going to introduce adaptability, contextual awareness, and even real-time learning. So this capacity to make nuanced decisions actually enables businesses to replace manual workflows with autonomous decision makers. So with robust core intelligence, agents can reduce repetitive manual tasks, predict customer needs, and maybe even create exponential and operational efficiency gains. And this is something that we do for our clients. Now, to transition a little bit, it's kind of inevitable that we have to talk about the knowledge of these agents. So I call this the knowledge engine, and this is best referred to as a memory part of the agent. So similarly to how our brains work, we have memory. Well, our agents have the knowledge base. So what this actually is, well, the knowledge engine, it's a persistent memory type of system. So it's going to serve as the central knowledge repository in a sense. So allowing the agent to recall customer interactions and query databases and provide personalized responses. Unlike the traditional databases, which usually just rely on exact search terms, this engine, it uses semantic searches via vector embeddings to retrieve information that matches in meaning. So how this works, when users ask, "What did we discuss last week?" Well, the agent needs to understand the intent and recall the context and actually locate the relevant past messages. So to achieve this, well, the AI agents, it's going to store data embeddings, as they're called. They're really just mathematical representations of what the meaning is. So in a vector database like Pinecone, so to break that down a little bit further, Pinecone is a vector database tool. Now there's plenty of different tools that you can use. There's Supabase, there's Quadrant, Weaviate. There's so many. Pinecone's what we use out of all the other ones. These are what allow the agent to retrieve information, even if the user's phrasing changes. Doesn't matter. Now, I want to give you guys another example. So if a client asks, "Can you remind me of the strategy that we discussed for Q4 marketing?" Well, the agent, it's going to tap into the vector database and retrieve the relevant meeting notes and provide a coherent summary. Now, this capability, it allows the customer success agents to actually operate as always available memory assistants. And how this can work within N8N? Well, N8N, it allows and enables access to these vector databases like Pinecone, Supabase, just using some simple API calls. With each client interaction, the key data points like the chat logs, the CRM updates, and email interactions, they're all converted into embeddings and they're stored as embeddings. So when a new request comes in, the agent can query its knowledge engine to retrieve the most contextually relevant response and ensuring the user gets an answer without any redundant questions. All in all, the knowledge engine, it's pretty transformative for customer experiences, to say the least. I mean, it's allowing agents to operate with total recall, making it possible to personalize literally every interaction. Now, this is obviously pretty crucial for enabling multi-agent operating systems where each agent can contribute to a larger operational ecosystem. Now, these agents that they know more about the customer experience can produce better outcomes, as you can imagine. and even reduce customer churn and increase engagement by delivering fast and contextually aware responses. And this approach, it ties directly into use cases like customer support, onboarding, and follow-up management. There's so many different ranges for where this can be applied to, and really just enable the businesses to achieve personalized engagement at scale. So achieving scalability is the goal of probably every business in the world. Maybe not for some, but for the majority of businesses, they're looking to scale, and these are kind of the path to success for that. This kind of loops into the next part, which is the action layer. And I kind of refer to this as the hands and feet of the agent. So the action layer being the muscle, the hands and feet. This system is going to be responsible for executing real world changes. Now, while the core intelligence that we just talked about, decides what actions to take, the action layer, it's actually going to perform them. So these are kind of back to back from one another. Now, how these work. So when an agent decides to send an email, the action layer, it's going to call the Gmail API. And these are in N8N referred to as nodes if you're not familiar with them. In Make.com, they're referred to as modules. And I think Zapier, it's just called actions, maybe actuators. Now, when the agent needs to update a calendar, it'll trigger the Google Calendar API node. Now, these actions are handled using integrations with third-party apps like Slack or Trello or HubSpot, whatever other tools. To give you some examples, when a lead requests a demo, the agent, it's going to update the CRM. It's going to send an email to the sales rep and actually schedule a meeting. So the action layer, it's going to do literally everything, and it's going to do all this autonomously in real time. Now, in N8N, they provide connectors for Gmail and Slack and all the other popular tools. So by leveraging these API requests, these agents can act directly on behalf of a human. So sending emails and booking meetings or updating customer records, whatever it may be. Now, this is where the ROI, the return on investment, actually happens and where it's going to occur. So the action layers, they drive operational leverage because they are going to turn intelligence into impact. So they're the ones taking actions. Now, clients who work with us, they no longer have to chase leads or schedule meetings manually. So instead, the action layer, it can execute tasks at scale and create high output, low cost operational flows. And this is the difference between having a simple automation tool and an autonomous multi-agent system. So I know that was a lot, but just stick with me. Next, I want to talk about tools. So kind of the toolkit of the entire agent. Now, what this is the tool set, it kind of represents all the external capabilities that an agent can call upon. So email tools and calendars and CRMs, chat apps, databases. So how this kind of works is when an agent needs to complete a task, it just calls on a tool. Just as a human employee would click on a button. For example, an agent may use the Gmail API to send an email or use a scraping tool to gather leads info from a website. It could take some different shapes and forms, obviously. With the right tools, the agent, it can act like a digital super employee, really. So, without them, it's just kind of like a simple chatbot. Now, the true power is going to lie in giving the agent control of core tools. So think of your businesses or your company's tech stack, like your guys' CRM. So you use HubSpot. Your emails, you guys use Outlook, and calendars, you use Outlook Calendar. So all these have different apps, and they're all tools within N8N. So these can create, update, and complete literally entire workflows. I should say this tool-based empowerment really just enables agents to take over full jobs, not just one-off tasks. Now let's get into some of the context of the agents, and this is probably one of the most important parts. So let's just call this context engine of the agent. And this is going to be the situational awareness of the agent. So I'm trying to relate this back to kind of how humans operate, or, how humans are structured, I guess. What this is the context engine. It's going to allow the agent to understand and reference previous steps or conversations. So this will track user intent and carry context forward. Now, the agent, it tracks user context just like conversational history. So It's tracking user context in memory or vector databases. Now, this enables users to say, change that to next Tuesday, maybe, and the agent knows what that refers to. Now, without context, agents are stuck in just single question modes, really. But with context engines, agents can build multi-step processes that are going to adjust in real time. Now, an agent with context can become exponentially more valuable because it eliminates user friction and accelerates task completion. And ultimately, by mastering these 6 different components that I've kind of just laid out, you can create agents that operate autonomously and act intelligently and scale exponentially. So, I mean, this is the foundation of the next generation multi-agent operating system. Now that you kind of know the building blocks of an AI agent and what it really comprises of, its brain, its memory, learning, and its actions, let's see how businesses are actually using this technology right now to gain competitive advantages. So, I mean, forward-thinking companies, they're not waiting, and I promise you that they're not waiting for the perfect AI tool. They're already building and deploying multi-agent operating systems right now. And these agents, they're more than just simple chatbots. They're autonomous operators that accelerate sales and reduce overhead and eliminate operational bottlenecks. So here's kind of a sophisticated look at how these businesses are deploying them in the real world right now. First one, probably the most important, is revenue generation. So boosting revenue by driving sales, of course. Let's look at a sales team. A sales team wastes time chasing leads that will never convert. All the time this happens. These agents, they solve this by taking over the lead generation, the outreach, and the nurturing process all in one. The agent, it's going to scan sources like LinkedIn and incoming website leads or CRM data to identify the high potential prospects. So once they identify that portion, that system's knocked out, the agent, it's then going to send the personalized, contextually aware outreach messages at scale. And they're going to send the follow-ups and nurture the leads until they're actually sales ready. And at this point, the human representatives, they only have to engage with warm leads, making every interaction that much more meaningful. So to give you some real world use cases, let's break down the lead generation agent a little bit further. Now, this lead gen agent, it can identify and engage the high quality leads from LinkedIn or your inbound web traffic. So by using tools like Apollo or Sales Navigator, it can build lead lists and qualify them and even conduct the first round of email outreach. Then we have the sales engagement agent. And this is an agent that's going to track the interactions in the CRM, like your HubSpot or Salesforce CRM. And then from there, it'll trigger contextually aware follow-ups. So if a lead opens multiple emails but doesn't book a call, the agent recognizes that and it recognizes the interest and sends a custom follow-up tailored to that lead's behavior. Then we have upselling agents. And during customer support chats, this is where the agent recognizes opportunities to upsell products. So for example, if a user inquires about a feature that only exists in a premium plan, the agent can suggest the upgrade, which obviously will drive more revenue within the company. So these are something that the agents are trained off of. These are strategies that we're giving to the agent, albeit you have to actually have those strategies and provide them to the agent for them to put them in place and try to upsell them. But this isn't something that you have to review constantly. Ideally you just test it for a week or so, see the results, and iterate. Now with humans, you have to constantly review their calls and see where things are going wrong. Not to say that you don't have to track all the metrics within these agents, because you definitely should. But after a week of testing, it really should be operating like that for its lifespan. Now, kind of how this can work in practice. So I'll give you just an example. So let's say a B2B SaaS company, they generate 1,000 new leads every month. Before the agents, their human sales reps, they manually qualified leads, hypothetically. So this took them hours of admin work. Now, after deploying a lead gen agent, all leads are going to be automatically scored and filtered and nurtured. So the sales reps are now only going to focus on the warm, high potential prospects. And there's a lot to be said about that, the amount of time savings, which thus leads into more revenue because they could focus on more creative and important tasks like actually closing those leads. Now, example 2, during a live chat, a customer support agent, It sees a customer asking for features included only in the premium subscription plan. The agent, it'll then suggest an upgrade and offer a one-click to the purchase. So this is enabling just real-time upselling. Now, this strategy reflects a pretty core shift in modern businesses' operations, because by ensuring that human reps, they only interact with the high-quality leads, the AI agents, they don't just increase the sales, they also are improving sales efficiency. So this is especially powerful in high volume inbound sales environments where human capacity is a bottleneck. So these are probably more prevalent within enterprise corporations. And with these AI agents acting as the first line of engagement, human teams are transformed into just pure closers. Let's talk about cost reduction. So let's talk about cutting costs by replacing the manual work. So how this works is the routine, the repetitive tasks like the data entry that I've mentioned earlier, and maybe updating the CRM, scheduling calls, whatever, doesn't have to get the attention from humans. These agents can handle them autonomously 24/7 without salary, without breaks, or any training. So, there is a price to be paid for some of these services, but it's very minimal. And the most effective implementations involve using multi-agent workflows, from my experience. And that's where several agents can cooperate. So for instance, a customer support agent might process customer returns, while a data entry agent updates a CRM entries and tracks service requests. Now let's talk about real world use cases. So data entry agent. Now, instead of relying on humans to input email data, the agent extracts key data points from the email conversation. So maybe things like order numbers, names, delivery info. So it's extracting that information from the conversations and it's going to update the CRM automatically. And let's look at a customer support agent. So rather than hiring additional support reps, companies can deploy an agent that answers FAQs, processes any returns, and handle first line customer support. And lastly, let's talk about document automation agent. Now, this agent, it's going to parse documents like invoices, contracts, or purchase orders. And from there, it'll automatically upload the information to internal systems like Notion, Google Sheets, or CRMs. So how this actually works in practice is, let's say a growing e-commerce brand, they receive 3,000 customer inquiries every month. So before agents, 70% of the inquiries were low-level FAQs like, where's my order, whatever. After deploying a 24/7 customer support agent, human reps only handle escalated issues, so saving thousands of support hours. And I'd imagine this is kind of what it looks like for Klarna. I know they've removed and cut a lot of their employees, but I'd imagine this is an instance of how it looks like. So obviously they're probably still using human employees. So it's kind of a give and take type of process, I'd imagine. Now, to give you another example, let's say an accounting firm, they use a document automation agent to parse the invoices and client contracts. So the agent, it can extract the relevant details like the payment amounts and the due dates and automatically enter them into accounting softwares like QuickBooks, thus saving them hours of admin time. So the ability to replace headcount-based scalability with agent-based scalability is one of the most impactful shifts in modern operations. In companies, they no longer just have to hire extra staff to meet growing demands. With these agents handling low-level tasks and human employees, they can focus on the high-value strategic work, which is, there's so much to be said about that. And instead of slapping on some automations onto a broken process, companies should really just rethink workflows from the ground up. So have a bottom-up approach and way of thinking. So using these AI agents to handle the entire operational flow. For number 3, I wanted to talk about speed and efficiency. So move faster and reduce human delays. So in traditional workflows, delays happen because humans have to respond, review, and approve each stage of a process. By taking immediate action when a condition is met, so whether a deadline is approaching, an AI project management agent can automatically send a reminder and update task statuses and reassign tasks if really required. Let's look at some real-world use cases for this in particular. We have internal task routing agent. And keep in mind, these are all just examples. There's so many different workflows and shapes and forms that this can take. But anyways, internal task routing agent. So this agent can assign tasks to employees and track progress and follow up when deadlines approach. A finance agent. This can automatically generate invoices, follow up on late payments, and reconcile transactions. To give you some more examples, a growing marketing agency, they use an internal task routing agent to track daily deliverables. Now, the agent identifies overdue tasks, it nudges team members with reminders and sends progress reports to the managers. So there's just no more check-in emails. Or let's say a finance department, they deploy a finance agent. Something that I would have this do is track payments and send automatic reminders when the invoices are past the due date. So this alone can improve the cash flow while reducing administrative burden. So imagine if you have 50 overdue customers, you haven't paid yet, you could just nudge them instantly without having to manually do this yourself. So, I mean, speed, it's just a strategic differentiator, really, when it comes to the business world. So, I mean, human delays like waiting for email replies or scheduling conflicts, this can create inefficiencies, as you can imagine, would slow down companies. The AI agents, they just eliminate these delays by acting immediately, predictively, and even autonomously. So by routing tasks and tracking deadlines in real time, the companies eliminate task bloat and they deliver faster customer outcomes. So, I mean, this has massive implications for project delivery timelines, operational throughput, and customer satisfaction. That's kind of what's happening today, but where is this headed? I mean, in 2025 and beyond, we're looking at a paradigm shift where it's not just one agent doing one task. Instead, we're experiencing and we'll have entire networks of specialized agents really synchronously working together, coordinating and maybe even negotiating to achieve complex goals. And this is a little bit subjective, but this is personally where I think it's kind of headed. I mean, this is all happening so fast. So, I'm just kind of putting the pieces together and taking it day by day. But yeah, so I mean, the future of AI agents, and I mean, not even just a future, this is kind of a right now type of thing as well. It's not just one agent, one role. We're really entering the age of multi-agent systems where groups of agents can collaborate and delegate tasks to each other, and maybe even create agents to handle emerging challenges. Imagine a manager agent that oversees a team of specialized agents. So one for sales, one for marketing, one for operations, one for customer success, and so on. While the manager agent, it can orchestrate these agents like a conductor leading an orchestra. So it sets goals, it delegates tasks and monitors performance and reallocates the resources in real time. So for example, if the sales agent, if it struggles to find leads in a particular market, the manager agent, it might commission a data research agent to gather marketing intel, maybe. If marketing needs fresh content, it can call on creative agents trained to produce blog posts or social media copy. So it can do intensive research and conduct entire campaigns too. I mean, I wouldn't really call them campaigns, but it can conduct intensive research efforts to find out what it needs to post and track all of that. Another important aspect that I wanted to get into is the rise of the agent in chief, as I call it. Think of this as a virtual chief of staff, an overarching agent that acts like the CEO's right hand, just setting strategic objectives and deploying sub agents to actually achieve them. So it might use a sales agent to hit revenue targets, a customer success agent to reduce churn, and a marketing agent to grow the brand's awareness. And over time, even learn which strategies yield the best results. So you can implement another agent that's literally just tracking this agent's purpose, and if it's up to standards. So I mean, it can spawn new agents as the business evolves, even like a hiring manager agent where you can scale your team, or a compliance agent when new regulations come into play. So to put this in perspective of business owners, entrepreneurs, and even individuals, I'll start with entrepreneurs and business owners. So I mean, having a network of these AI agents, it means scaling without massive headcount. So you don't have to spend a whole lot to actually scale your company. So you can have the output of 50 employees while only having 5 employees with the addition of AI agents. So I mean, you could just accomplish more, enter new markets faster. You could experiment with new strategies without the overhead of building huge internal teams. And for employees, repetitive tasks, they get delegated to AI agents. And this is what it's going to look like. So this will free up you to focus on high-level strategy, creativity, and relationship building. And for employees, repetitive tasks, they get delegated to these AI agents, which ultimately free you up to focus on higher level strategies and more creative tasks and relationship building. So the human aspects that machines still struggle to replicate. So that personal touch. Now, for service providers and consultants, this is just going to open up a brand new market. So, I mean, you could sell AI agents as solutions, as managed services. So, instead of just advising, you can provide clients with plug and play agents and architectures that optimize their workflows. So, I mean, that kind of begs the next question: how do you get started and get ahead of the curve? So, I mean, if you're thinking this sounds amazing, but where do I even begin? I mean, here's a simple framework. So just identify the repetitive processes. So start by listing out your company's roles and the processes each role handles, like in the screenshot here. So just note down the tasks that are repetitive and time consuming, like researching leads and creating invoices and scheduling meetings and follow ups, whatever. Then you'll want to evaluate the automation potential. So ask yourself which tasks slow you down, which tasks require too much manual effort, which tasks, if automated, would free up at least 10% of your team's time. So use these questions as a framework to guide you. Then you could just implement simple agents from there, just kind of reverse engineer a little bit. So begin with a single process agent like a lead qualification agent, a support agent for common FAQs. Integrate it with your own tools, just using something like n8n. n8n is pretty user friendly and it's relatively easy to figure out. Watch a few tutorials. It really won't take you too long. Then from there, just scale up to multi-agent ecosystems. And this is kind of where we've evolved to as a company. So as a company, we are now implementing multi-agent workflows that kind of tie into one another and, work synchronously. So, I mean, as you get more comfortable, you could just start experimenting with multiple agents. So, I mean, for instance, maybe one agent is going to handle the lead generation. Then the other agent, it'll handle the lead nurturing, and a manager agent can coordinate all of them together. So, I mean, if you want to offer this as a service, this is literally one of the best opportunities available. At least this is the best opportunity I've seen since I've been alive, to put it simply. So, I mean, if you want to become the AI agent integrator or whatever, who helps businesses transform their operations, like what we do, if you want to use it internally, you already have the roadmap. You just analyze your roles, the tasks and processes, and just start delegating to AI. So, I mean, all in all, these AI agents, they aren't just tools. They're evolving into autonomous operators capable of thinking, acting, learning, and even strategizing. So businesses are already using them to reduce costs and increase revenue and run leaner, more efficient operations. So, I mean, in 2025, we'll see much wider implementations of these agents, and it's really interesting to see where things are going. And I'm honestly doing my best to stay on the new side of things. It gets hard to keep up. But, anyways, if you guys want to get ahead, you can start by just analyzing your business processes, identify the tasks to automate, and really don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and test out some simple agent workflows. So, I mean, if you do want more guidance, subscribe to the channel. I'm always posting about it. I'll be breaking down how to build AI agents, how to sell them as a service, and how to really just stay ahead of the curve in this rapidly evolving landscape. But beyond that, if you are a business owner and you're looking to increase your bottom line and implement systems that I've discussed and check out some of our work and see what we're actually capable of, you can apply to work with us down below in the description, where we'll likely implement AI agents and go through an entire discovery call. And if you are at all interested to fast track your learning, you can consider joining my community, where I share systems, templates, and workflows for building and deploying AI agents. So, I mean, it's not mandatory. Just know that if you're serious about accelerating your implementation and understanding best practices, there's a resource you can tap into, and you can get that down below in the description. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to provide you guys with this, some of these insights. At least I do my best to stay on top of things. So, yeah, subscribe if you're looking for more info and videos like this. Try to give more holistic views on the space as a whole. So if you're interested in that, just subscribe, and I'll be posting more content like this, along with tutorials and how to actually build out these agents to implement within your company, similarly to what we do for our clients. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.